if you like what I do, if you like my videos, if you like what's going on, hey, check out my website. You can check out all the book stuff like that I put on there. You can check out stuff from Daejon Publishing. You can check out my first book, Mizuki Lineage of the Dragon. Alright, you can read the prologue and first 2 chapters for free. And also, if you check it out now, I believe you can also look at all the art and everything. So keep an eye out for that. Also, please buy the Kindle and check out my latest video on House Party. I have a whole series on that if you like gaming. But until then, enjoy the rest of the video.
Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!
So, Days Gone. A few stories have come out for that game specifically, and a lot of that has come out recently because of, well, you know, apparently I didn't know that they pitched a sequel to it. Well, in this case, one of the creative devs, not David Jaffe, I'm thinking David Jaffe, John Garvin and Jeff Ross, the 2 brain children who basically wrote the story, got everything down, and they said, okay, we're gonna make a story with this. So, like, we're gonna make this very interesting story in terms of the zombie apocalypse, and we're gonna do all this crazy stuff with it. And you know, it kind of, and all this came out when they were on, I believe, David Jaffe's YouTube channel. In this case, the same David Jaffe who made Twisted Metal, or at least worked on Twisted Metal and was the main contributor and I believe the creator of the series, which again, you know, that's another one that I want to come back, but sadly, you know, Twisted Metal really like they're not giving it the love in which it's supposed to get. But either way, going back to this whole thing with Days Gone, well, at first, oh snap, not that. Days Gone, both of the directors went to Sony and said, hey, listen, could you give us a sequel, because, you know, we sold a lot of copies and the game is actually doing really good, and even though it had a few hiccups and problems, we still kind of want to like make a sequel because we've been selling a lot of copies. And Sony basically said no. Not necessarily because, you know, they live and breathe Metacritic, which could be the reason as to why so many critics were, I mean, like when The Last of Us 2 came out, why basically like that the user review score really wasn't as big as what people were trying to kind of like brag it off as. They were more concerned with the actual reviewer score and not necessarily the user score, because again, if I look at the user score in terms of actually let me look at that now. User score of Days Gone is 8.3 right there on screen. Is 8.3, but the reviewer score itself is 71. So technically, like, with you looking at that, it's like, well, what can you really do? Because, you know, Sony is like, well, now they both came out to said like that if you're a Sony exclusive and you get somewhere around a 70, you either need to get an 80 or above in order for them to kind of like look at your game, even if you do sell a lot of copies. And, you know, like, because that's going to help us, like, necessarily, like, you know, kind of push your game out, because they need to keep this illusion in which that all of their exclusives are basically like the creme de la creme of like the gaming industry, to where that people just want to get them. Now, honestly, the beauty of this, or at least kind of like the double-edged sword of this, is the fact that there is a change.org petition going around, and right here actually, oh my god, yeah, like they have almost 60,000 signatures to bring Days Gone back, or at least like to get Sony to approve a sequel. Because again, because I kind of remember when Days Gone, like when it first dropped, it had a lot of problems, and there were a lot of things like against the game in terms of aiming controls and being at 30 frames per second, like all this stuff like that. People kind of like just looked at it like, or like, yo, this is a problem for this AAA game that really isn't doing all that well. So they did patch it, they did make it better, and believe me, it did sell. I believe like it's one of their highest selling like games like that Sony had, but they still won't necessarily give it a sequel. And because of that, you know, like that, they did specifically talk about like some plans such as them putting in co-op, because again, when I originally saw it in terms of the story of Days Gone, it was like a lot of this is pushing this to be a co-op game. So if it wasn't in the first one and they did patch it and make it a really good game, then if they were going to make a sequel and then possibly make that a co-op game, then, you know, like good things can come from that. But sadly, Sony was like, well, hey, you didn't break the 70 mark, even if the user score is 80. I mean, like, even if it's over 80, yeah, we still don't like that, you know, because again, you would think that with Last of Us 2, right, with like at the time of that coming out, and even now, I think that is Metacritic score, I checked it earlier, I think it's like still like 50 or something like that, like 53 or 55 or something like that, to where that, but like the user score is still like in the 90s. And even but then again, you look at games like Ghost of Tsushima, you look at like Horizon Zero Dawn, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, like games like that recently came out and are still like in the top 10 like of like Sony's releases and everything. I mean, I think even Resident Evil's up there, but still, but that's a multi-plat game, sorry. But still, you look at it and it's like, well, yeah, like these games, like that they're actually doing a lot to kind of keep the fan base in, so why, I mean, like, and they sold a lot, so why wouldn't they make a sequel to it? But, you know, but that also kind of leads me over to this other thing too, which is that say Mr. Gavin also went on to say that the reasons in which that he believed like that they didn't get a sequel, and is right here, which is he went on to say, I do have an opinion on something that say that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some of them off. If you wanna say if you love a game, buy it at full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen games a gamer say, yeah, I got it on sale, I got it through a PlayStation Plus, whatever. And he went on, I mean, John Garvin went on to say this, and he basically tried to use that as justification in terms of why why their game didn't get a sequel, which apparently, as it pretty much came out, because again, like Jeff Keighley went on to basically say, hey, listen, people like that, they can't necessarily, like, I mean, people don't necessarily want to put money in a game. No matter how good it looks. Sometimes people don't want to put money in a game when something else is coming out, or basically the game in question, I haven't played it, there is no demo, there's nothing for me to kind of like tangibly like attach myself to. So how can I spend money on something that I haven't touched or played or know anything about? So it's one of those. On top of that too, it's also the other thing too, to where that it's like, you know, sometimes people just aren't sold on the idea of a game, no matter how good it is. Because again, you know, like asking me to spend $60 or spend $70 now for PlayStation 5 games, which again, at this point, it's like, you know, the prices is going up and up and up, you know, and then you look at the competition from those games to games like Genshin Impact, which that game is free and people just love it, right? It's a thing, so like it feels like you're asking too much from a fan base, which again, it's like it's a new IP, it's a brand new game, also delving like in a genre which that at the time was already a bit oversaturated because you know, like 2010 like to about 2017 18, like zombie games were coming out like left and right. So again, it's one of those things to where that it's like you're also delving like in a genre that you know, was a bit oversaturated, like at the time. Even if you want to say, hey, the game that I'm playing is very different because Days Gone, you know, zombies or whatever, and you know, like that you haven't really played much. I'm like, Zombie Army, there's zombies for Call of Duty, you know what I mean? Like even if you look at other games and whatnot, such as, you know, like I want to say like, well, not Wolfenstein. Oh yeah, Dying Light and everything else. You look at games like that still have zombies that kind of do the whole thing different. But again, you're asking people to kind of put their hope like in this series, which that, you know, even and also even then too, like when the game, like again, I said earlier, when the game came out, it really wasn't getting all that great reception either because of the aiming, the frame rate, like bugs and everything in terms of like you taking damage on upon your bike and everything. So it was all these factors and whatnot that didn't necessarily push the game into a good light for people early on. But again, with them patching it, fixing it, and now you can get it on PlayStation Plus now, and also with it coming out on PC like in the coming months. Yeah, like all that could possibly change, but that still kind of doesn't get around the fact that, you know, you're still asking people to buy this game. And also on top of that too, your game still actually sold a lot. So you getting a sequel, as you kind of already stated, like in the other article, was that, hey, this is because Sony lives and breathes Metacritic. So that's the most we can do about that. But until then, though, that is what I have to say about that. Please tell me what do you think about this in the comment section. Please keep watching anime, keep playing video games. Hopefully Days Gone does get a sequel, because you know, from what I've seen from it, it is actually a pretty good story, and believe me, it isn't a ride to hell, okay? Because that game is terrible, but I mean, it's not that. So yeah, see you next time. I'm out.
Я плохой человек, каждым